Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Your host Alvaro to bring you another exciting and successful guest. Today I have the pleasure to welcome a dear friend of mine. He's a real estate powerhouse. He's the head of MENA private office for Knight Frank. He's been 11 years in the Middle East. Now back in the UK, he's been dealing with some of the most extraordinary clientele and some of the most predominant deals. What I find the most impressive about him is that he's been learning the language of Arabic so fluently. I mean, I don't know that many people that speak the language so well, being from overseas. And not only that, but he's also a tremendous athlete. He's been embarking on some great challenges. I just saw one that he's going to be doing in the upcoming year. And I want to welcome you, Henry Faun.
There he is. What's going on, my friend?
How are you?
Doing
Good to see you.
fantastic. Yeah, good to see you as well. How's everything on that side of the world?
Very well. I'm in the UK these days. Last time we spoke, I was in the Middle East, but I've moved back and based in London now, still with Knight Frank.
Right, I love it. So tell me, because you've been 11 years in the Middle East. Last time we saw each other in person, it was in Dubai, actually.
It was.
And you've been developing over all these years a tremendous clientele. You've developed not only just that clientele, but also the language and the culture, which is not easy. So now being back in the UK, what is your primary role with Knight Frank and what are you focusing on?
Good. Well, I'm back here now in London since we last caught up. After 11 years in the Gulf, it's nice to come back to my home again, Alvaro. I'm sure you can appreciate that. But my role is to head up the Middle East private office here. I support our Middle Eastern families with their real estate on more of a global platform. Knight Frank is a very large group level company, and we can certainly support our clients through various jurisdictions around the world. Whether perhaps it's with you, on the ground in Miami or New York or in Paris or London as well. And whilst based here in London, I'm not just sitting here the whole time. I'm back and forth from the Middle East often. I'm in Dubai next week and Saudi Arabia the following. So I'm back and forth in the region, seeing my clients on the ground and then supporting them perhaps in follow-up as well.
So let me ask you, what made you move back to the UK after being so many years in the Middle East?
Well, certainly not for a lack of love. I love the Middle East, the culture, the people. My closest friends are locals there on the ground now, Barra. So certainly not for that. It's more, after over a decade overseas, it made good sense from family perspective as well to come back. And as you know, working with our high net worth clients around the world, our clients are global people, Barra. They're not necessarily located in one particular jurisdiction. They have homes, they have assets all around the world. So we can be based in many jurisdictions around the world, but still support them and give them the right level of service they need.
Absolutely. Now, talking about becoming an outlier, because I don't know that many people from the UK that actually have mastered the culture, the language, that have been on the industry of real estate for so long. So you definitely stand out among any other peer for working with this type of clientele.
Certainly, and I enjoy it a lot, and I'm very fond of my local clients there on the ground. I would say that whilst I was based in the UAE, I traveled often, Alvaro, into the wider region, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, even over to Egypt, Morocco, even up to Pakistan or elsewhere, and picking up local language skills on the ground, reading and writing with these people, certainly very important, and I enjoy sharing my time with them.
So for anybody out there trying to take that next leap of faith, going into the unknown, right? Because you at some point were just discovering all of this. You did not just get one day and knew everything. So it's a process. So what was your mindset like to say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to go and learn the language, learn the culture, become one of the most successful real estate brokers and experts in that field? Like, how did you develop that mindset?
Good. Well, I think that the trigger point, so to speak, on the language side, I was actually in a city, Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. It's not the capital, Riyadh. It's another city on the port city, actually. And I finished a late night event. We delivered a presentation to a few of our clients, and I went to my hotel. It was gone midnight. And this was back before you and I could speak on our smartphones. We had these old Blackberries, Alvaro. And I was on the back street in Jeddah looking to check into my hotel there. And actually, my booking wasn't there for another reason. It was actually in a hotel a couple of kilometers away. And this was before we had Blackberries, before we had any technology to get me there. And nobody locally there was speaking any English. So I had to get from one hotel to another at about 1 a.m. Back then, we didn't have iPads. We had wheelie bags of my books and brochures and things. And I walked around here and I had to get through the streets in Saudi Arabia at nighttime from one hotel to another. And that was a very quick little trigger point saying, okay, look, I really need to put some time on this and really study and master this language just to get around and host a day of meetings. If we were going to go to Saudi Arabia tomorrow morning and host 5, 6, 7 meetings in a day, which is quite normal, then you need the language skills to get around. And I very much enjoyed learning from them. And I took up lessons, Alvaro, probably 3 nights a week after that for a short period of time to really focus energy on that into a new language. But that's speaking, reading, and writing.
Well, it's definitely paying off, because there's one thing about speaking the local language, and is that you connect much deeper with the people. And definitely I see that paying off on your end. Now, tell me about what you've seen in the real estate world. Like, you obviously work with a clientele that is global, but especially in the Middle East. I mean, it's been booming. And now with, you just mentioned Jeddah or Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in general also is blowing up. So tell us a little bit about what's your input on how the luxury real estate is growing there.
Definitely. Well, perhaps we'll start with Saudi, as you mentioned. Saudi Arabia across the board, from a government level downwards, has set up a new fund, the Public Investment Fund, which are actually building full cities, not just little projects, one-off projects that perhaps you and I might work on in London and Miami or elsewhere. They are building full master plan cities. And that's very exciting. And our clients are very much enjoying being involved with that. Some of them are involved in the engineering or construction side and have their family businesses in that. And that presents new opportunity for them, perhaps them for investment, for developing new businesses on the ground, or whatever it might be. And so Saudi Arabia, I think, is hugely interesting for future opportunities there and growth across the board. There's been a large change in terms of upflux of new sporting events. As you know, you may have seen some of the fighting, you've seen some of the sports, maybe golf, whatever it might be on the ground in Saudi Arabia now, which is, I almost feel proud for them that they're starting to get and host these grand events, which is really fantastic. Now, in the wider region, Alvaro, not just sticking with Saudi, but if we look around the rest of the Gulf, Dubai, which was my home, and the UAE, that has certainly had a very good run in the past 3 years or so now, I'd say. And we've had high net worths from the US, where you are. We've had high net worths from Europe and elsewhere coming in to the UAE and making that their home. And finding it preferable, one, for business and the ease of business of doing that locally there on the ground, but also very nice for lifestyle. They can perhaps have a villa, maybe on a beachfront, or perhaps set away from a beach with a larger garden, and enjoying it, the UAE, for its huge offering that it can do on the lifestyle side.
No, yeah, it's unbelievable. And we can see that everywhere right now. Everybody's flying into Dubai or Saudi Arabia. There is so many amazing and exciting things going on over there. And yes, I was actually just recently in Riyadh. It was for an opening of a restaurant, and it was just incredible, the amount of investments that are happening in there. And same thing with Dubai, it's something that it's very, very enjoyable to see what's going on in there. So attractive market. Now, when you work with this type of clientele, I understand it's very private. However, I see that you are very vocal, like you are on TV doing all these interviews, also on the press, on social media. So tell me how you manage to keep that low-key profile to maintain that private relationship, but at the same time being very well-known.
Good. No, good question, Alvaro. Now, when I'm perhaps discussing with a regular update on a TV or a news reporting anchor channel, or on the radio, perhaps in the Middle East, we're discussing research at high level. We're discussing what are the in-market trends, what's going on this week. Maybe there's been a new announcement from the banks or otherwise, and we need to drill into that. And what could that mean from outsiders looking at the market who aren't, there listening to the pulse every day, but want a little snippet of information to keep them topped up on what's the latest news. And that's where those news interviews come in. Certainly it's not discussing individual assets or families or otherwise our clients are working with. That remains confidential and private at all times. So it means that we can maintain both sides as one, keeping everybody informed with the latest research and information and keeping them correctly advised in that space, but also maintaining that privacy and that confidentiality that you mentioned.
I love that. And look, at the end of the day, that's what you are, right? You're an advisor, and that comes with all that knowledge and expertise that you're bringing to the table. So with everything because that's one of the things, by the way, that I found very, very, very attractive about your profile, is that you're not just showcasing properties and all these different projects, but you are actually bringing that research, that numbers that showcase where we're heading. So for somebody that is looking to invest, they're going to be much more calm and trustworthy with you because of that. So tell us a little bit what you envision or what you see for perhaps this year with the luxury real estate globally? Is there going to be a shift? Because we've been seeing some ups and downs.
Of course, I think there's some positive signs here in the UK at the moment. Interest rates, as you know, have been very high globally in recent months, in the past year or so, and perhaps whilst they're stabilizing and coming down a little bit, we can't say they'll come down too far, but certainly a little bit, that shows positive green shoots for global economies and therefore real estate markets around the world, Alvaro. Here in the UK, we're certainly seeing those green shoots as well. There's positive activity across the market at all price levels. I'm certainly very buoyant for the coming 12 months or so here in central London and the wider UK. Over in the Middle East, Dubai in particular, it's been going great guns for quite some time now, and I think perhaps those trends will continue. It's a very positive market, and the reasons that many of our clients have been relocating from elsewhere around the world and choosing to make their home and their business there is beyond just simple fickle things. It's more things that they want to move there and make their life there, which will continue to drive demand perhaps into the foreseeable future.
Now, for somebody that is trying to get to a high level in real estate, whether it's as an advisor or, just a broker in general, what will be some of your tips or advices for somebody that is trying to go that direction?
Of course. If they're coming into that level and growing into a new space in their life, whether it's a new career, I'm certainly sure they would have a mentor at some point, perhaps yourself if they're in Miami, for example, to steer and guide them through what they should be doing, what are they looking at, where's their next step in their career. That will always be very helpful for those coming in. Certainly if they can read up on real estate, like we mentioned, the research is key. And when you're advising your clients collectively, you need to know what it is you're talking about and have seen it on the ground. And that is one part is research that you and I can read and whoever it might be can read on the spot and learn and understand and absorb, but also then how to translate into what our client is thinking at that time. Are they looking at these particular assets? And is that a market they're looking to explore? And translate what it is you're knowing and how to apply it to that particular client at that time to be helpful for them and be a value add and bring something extra to the table that they didn't have before.
A lot of people think that your brand should only be about the career that you have, but you also showcase that wild side, that athlete side, which I love it, being in CrossFit and now embracing this new challenge. So I think that's also that part of lifestyle that makes people connect more with you. Tell us a little bit about how you manage to keep both sides alive.
Sure. I think definitely, as you mentioned, your professional career is of key importance. That's what someone will know and trust and know that you have the good knowledge to advise them and steer them correctly and choose to contact you for your services as well. But equally, we're all humans, Alvaro. We're here. We do business with people that we like and trust, more importantly. And if perhaps you can see it's someone, I've got 2 children now, and I certainly talk about them a lot on my social media. I'm very proud of them. And if it's a sporting event coming up, I very much enjoy that. The next one I just signed up for is actually next year. It's a way away, but it's going to be a race in the Arctic Circle, which will be new for me. I haven't got any Arctic racing experience under my belt before now. Certainly no Ultraman like you, Alvaro. But certainly I'm looking forward to this. It's skiing, running, and cycling through Norway, Finland, and Sweden.
What has been one of the key lessons that you've learned throughout this journey?
Good question. I would certainly think that the key lessons for both personal and my professional career, Alvaro, is that the hard work that you're putting in, it will pay off at some point. It may not pay off straight away, Alvaro, and we can feel like we're pushing water uphill occasionally. We all do. I know that, but certainly it will pay off. And that hard work you do put in that hard graft, it does pay off.
I love that.
It's the key lesson.
But what is it really luxury to you?
Last time we discussed this, Alvaro, I think I talked to you a little bit about maybe branded residence or concierge services or otherwise. I would say for some of my high net worth Middle Eastern clients, Alvaro, something new, which is not new, but it's become higher in their emphasis more recently. And it's the levels of security that they can offer, whether it's that privacy that you and I discussed earlier and confidentiality of where they're living these days, but also physical security on the ground and whether they can be dropped off at a property and still feel like they're secure. They can hop out at nighttime and maybe not be on the street, but maybe in a private pull-in or elsewhere. And certainly beyond having just the concierge there 24/7, is there an element of security walking around the building or otherwise? And this applies to all cities globally, I think, at the moment. And there's certainly been a key theme that I've picked up on several of my high net worth clients from the Middle East, saying, look, this is what's the theme that's important to us, and how can we look for it in our future real estate investments?
Wow. No, so true. And that's something that definitely has been more and more of a topic. And I think that that's the ultimate luxury for these high net worth individuals. So I appreciate you sharing all of this with us today, Henry. Keep on being awesome. Keep on reaching those levels of success.
Good luck with your marathons. I look forward to hearing about it.
Thank you, Noah. You with your training, and we'll see each other very soon. If you get tired of the cold and you don't want to go that side of the world to the Middle East, you can always come this way. Exactly, exactly. We'll be waiting for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Alvaro. Always a pleasure to see you.
Take care, Henry.
See you soon.
Bye.